Okay guys, so talking about stability with our landing foot, so going down the mound. Obviously, we want to be stable over the rubber, but almost just as important, if not more important, we need to be stable when we land with our front foot. So right here, we have a simulated throw of somebody who is not stable, okay? And the reason I say that is because a few different things. So as you go down, let's get to about right around here, okay? So we see the strike foot starting to hit. If you continue a little bit further, all seems good, right? We have our complete foot on the mound. However, we need to think about our momentum and our force that's driving into that actual plate, and then the force that we're gonna use to drive towards home plate. If you continue a little bit further, right, you can see that right there. Good. I'm a little bit higher on the amount of force that I'm applying to the actual plate than I was as I was starting my delivery, which is fine. There's a lot of force that's going down the mound. That's to be anticipated. However, if you see that this green line is starting to spike downwards, that's showing that we went from a lot of pressure to almost no pressure on that front foot. So as you can look over here on the actual sensor map, when we started, you can stop right there. When we started, we had about this much amount of pressure there. As the pitch is continuing, you can see that that's really starting to shrink. We still see our reds and our yellows and our greens a little bit. However, the fact that this has turned from, 100% connection to the ground to about less than 50, if we continue it even further, you're gonna see that this is actually starting to disappear. If we stop right there, now let's look. We see very, very little amount of pressure on the map. Now, if we go over here, you can see I am completely almost off of my foot, right? My weight is taking me towards the lefty batter's box as a righty pitcher. I'm completely spinning off. Therefore, I have absolutely no stability on that front foot as I'm finishing this pitch. Although I might have some type of stability as I land, the fact that my stability is completely going down on this downtrend right here with the green line shows me that I could have been a lot more stable throughout my entire delivery, not just when my foot struck. Let's look at a good result of somebody who threw it as well as stayed stable throughout their entire delivery. So as we see here, we go back, the amount of pressure right here gives us that starting line, that orange line or that brown line that we see up here. As we continue throughout the delivery, right, you're gonna see that line start to go down a little bit. Now, as my delivery starts to go towards home, you can see that there's a little bit of movement right here, and now all of a sudden this is starting to shrink a little bit. That's showing that I'm actually giving up pressure and I'm distributing it more towards one part of my foot. You can see these colors are starting to get a little bit more red. That's showing more pressure in that area. Now, as we get to right about here, we can see that I still have pressure when I land. We see the X that we've talked about previously, the stability over here as well as down the mound. If we continue going, you can see that if you go back just a few frames, right? Initially, this is my entire foot that you see striking the force plate from the beginning. Now, as you continue a little bit further, you can see that a lot of my weight gets distributed towards the ball of my foot, right? And the rest of my foot starts to apply pressure towards the actual mound. Now, as we continue, we talked about the green line on the bad example, spiking straight down. Now, we did have a little bit of a spike from the get-go, but all that's showing, as we talked about before, is a little bit of pressure getting relieved so that we can direct the rest of that pressure towards home plate. You can see as we plateau right here, after the pitch is thrown, my amount of pressure on this front foot right here is almost identical with the amount of pressure that I had over the rubber before I started the pitch. Continue a little bit further. This is towards the end. Now, the bad pitch that you guys saw just recently, I was spinning off, I was falling off of the mound. Pretty much our entire footprint or our pressure that we were applying with our front foot to the mound was lost. In this example right here, we still have a full amount of force on our front foot. We might not have the red colors or too much pressure there, but all that's really showing is that I have enough pressure to keep me stabilized on my front foot, as well as taking some of that pressure and directing it towards home plate.